I've been covering this story since the beginning. In fact, I've been covering Yemen extensively ever since I started in citizen journalism. The same way I've been covering Israel-Palestine. Now, people, I'll move on. But it's something I focused on. Now people catching up, and now people understand why the issue is very important. Now people understand why I've been so interested in Yemen as well. What's going on with the Ansar Allah and the resistance, the axis of resistance they are building there, the same with everything else that applies in life generally. You don't have to agree with everything they do and say, but what they're doing in the resistance of the West, the way they defeated the United Arab Emirates, the way they defeated Saudi Arabia, the way they claim their own sovereignty and resist the West, it's a crazy story.
Yeah, it is.
If you're an anti-imperialist, anti-colonialist, it's the craziest thing you will ever see. The success that Yemen has. Now, I'm actually mad I fucking buried the lead because I've showed you guys a few of these funny tweets around the time of Operation Prosperity Guardian. And here's another one because all these tweets are being resurfaced. Also been having a great time mocking the United States military, making these chuds very upset because we gotta break the psychosis that people have that the United States is invincible. I just have theories. I think there are a few things that the United States left in anti-war movements failed to do in general. I think the U.S. military worship has not helped us at all. It makes no sense for us to worship the military and be anti-war. It makes no sense for us to pretend the United States military is stronger and not what it is. There's a reason why the propagandists project the United States military as strong. It's so people are more likely to accept their wars. That people were 100% okay with Vietnam until they saw soldiers come back in body bags. Never let them change history. They wasn't upset with Vietnam because Vietnamese people was dying. It was until American soldiers came back in body bags, people started to give a damn. So we got to break this illusion that the United States military in the West is invincible, which has been something I've been actively doing because I'm not just an ordinary commentator. I have a plan of action. I'm a propagandist in a lot of ways, unapologetically for the proletariat, unapologetically for our civil liberties. I'm sorry this is my intro monologue. I'll pass it to you, but listen, look at this here. This is one example of these Western chauvinists, these warmongers, and you can tell by the flags in this guy's profile. If you look at all these tweets, it's unhinged shit. The Ukraine flags here.
And look what at the fuck is here. That? Does he have Ukraine and Palestine?
There's a psyop, very obvious psyop going on where liberals are trying to get people who are pro-Palestine because their pro-Palestinian position is very popular. Supporting Ukraine among our age is very unpopular. So it's a very smart psyop where they're trying to pair those two together. Very transparent. No one's falling for it as shown in the poll.
That just makes me think that you're a little bit crazy or something. That you don't know what's going on in the
world. Don't actually believe it because if you actually grill them on the Palestine issue, it never fails. And I'm telling you guys this because you guys are way more offline than I am. I happily admit that especially ever since I became a citizen journalist, I am very fucking online. I am very aware of all these psyops that's going on. So these people, whenever you see these Ukraine flags, Palestine flags, push them on Hamas, push them on Palestinian resistance, and you see what that flag really fucking means. These people, it's literally fake. They're not even pro-Palestine.
They're probably not even real people. These are probably bot accounts. You know what I mean?
That too.
They're everywhere.
Yeah, that too. This person, it was worth going after because many people, like Misty said, she is correct. Like 90% of these neocon accounts are bots. They're programmed by the Pentagon. They're psyops. But this person's a YouTuber. Like there's a face behind it.
Okay.
Like he's a person. That's one of the reasons why I think this is funny. And this is why he's getting. Oh Jesus Christ! Oh my God! This shit got 1.4 million. Guys, this guy is getting dragged into the dirt because me and a few of our friends, not just me, but me and a few of our friends are digging up these tweets of people saying that the Yemen is fun. Let's read this tweet. Let's listen to the condescension here. And you guys see why I'm having a fun time. I'm leading with a fun story here. Tankies are really something. The tankies. Now, Misty, my good friend, when not everyone had to agree with me on labels, Misty, my good friend, is not a communist. A lot of people I have on my friends on my shows are not communists. Do Dissonance are not communists. But I promise you, these people will call Misty and Do Dissonance a tanky.
For sure. I get called that all the time. I get called commie all the time, and I get called everything, which I think makes me very happy, because that means I'm not falling into any one box. And I literally get called. I get called a Hillary Clinton supporter. I get called a Biden supporter, a Russian, a tanky, a commie, a right winger, a Nazi. I think I've gotten it all.
Why you guys think I take so much importance on defining terms?
Right?
Why you guys think I am rejecting anti-intellectualism? Because they do this on purpose, fam. They are purposely trying to dumb down the working class with this shit. So the point I was making is tankies mean nothing. Tanking mean you resist the establishment. So I promise you, if you're a redneck person who think you hate communism, you can have an account and you can speak out against the Ukraine war. You can speak out against unfair income inequality, and they're gonna call you a tanky. So that was one of the reasons why I was like, fuck it, I might as well call myself a communist. They call me in anyway, before I was even comfortable calling myself a communist. So what's the fucking point? Anyway, let's move on, because I don't want to belabor that point. Let's continue to tweet. Tankies really are really something. If they think the Houthis, can't even put respect on their names. If they think the Houthis have even the remotest chance of surviving the sheer amount of democracy they're about to receive. Now let's analyze what this means. Remember, this is a YouTuber. This is an actual person here. You guys see how they know the psyop bullshit terms they say is bullshit? And you guys see how the youth among the neocon youth would joke how they fuck with us, right? They know when they say they're spreading democracy. They know what that means. They know when they talk about anti-communist ideology, they know what that means. Once again, I don't demand my friends be communists. The only line of dread I draw is anti-communism, because it's the ideology that led to the death of millions. You don't have to call yourself a communist, but don't be anti-communist. That's where I do draw the line. But you guys see, they know spread democracy, fighting communism means killing people. Yeah, they know it, but they call conspiracy theorists if we say it. Sorry, I'm rambling for a lot. There's a lot to present. Misty, do you want to chime in before I move on?
No, just you're absolutely right. It's gross how they're just so flippant about, oh, here comes the democracy, meaning here comes a bunch of civilian deaths and the overthrowing of your democratically elected government and the overtaking of your country and all your resources. Like, that's what they mean, right? But they're just fine with that. Like, it's such a disgusting mentality. It's hard to wrap my head around it, honestly. It really is. Like, I saw somebody arguing the other day about how it's fine to invade other countries and take over their stuff. And
their ideology is literally crazy. Yeah. And I'm glad I finally got a platform. I never thought I would. I thought I was gonna sell cars for the rest of my life. I thought I was gonna be like a customer service, not just selling cars. I thought I was gonna be like in sales. Like, I imagined that before I was radicalized. I realized they was still in my labor value. I said, fuck that shit. You know what I mean? But I'm glad I have this platform where I can expose this insane ideology I've been seeing for a very long time that people think is normal. Yeah. People think terrorist ideology is normal. Like, you will see normal arguments made about the genocide in Gaza, where they say, well, Israel is right to do whatever they are doing right now because of October 7th. No, that is literally not true. There is no exception in international law for revenge. But you guys see, their ideology is counter to that. Right now, we are seeing a rebellion of the West regarding international law and the Geneva Conventions. And America not batting an eye. You know, we just following pop culture. I'm watching Netflix. I'm like, I'm watching NBA. I'm like, you know, this is NBA final. They're UFC 300. I'm gonna watch UFC 300 tonight, and I'm gonna keep my mind off it. I watched WrestleMania last week. You know what I did the whole time? WrestleMania, they had this banger show. The entire time I'm watching WrestleMania, I think about the Gaza genocide.
I know, it's hard to not.
I'm having a hard time enjoying shit, fam. I'm telling you guys right now, I'm having a hard time enjoying shit. Misty, you got anything you want to add?
No, it's so, and it's hard to even like express that to people. Like, it's so weird. Like, right now, people will be like, "Hey, how you doing?" That's such a weird question right now. Like, so hey, weird. How you doing? I mean, not great, actually. You know what I mean? Like, shit is really fucked up, and I'm witnessing a genocide being live streamed for the whole world to see, and nothing much is being done to stop it. But I'm just going about my day, doing the things that I'm doing while people are getting slaughtered en masse. Like, it's just weird, right? It's weird.
So Marxism is a critique of the capitalist structure. And I'm asking you guys, where have we been wrong regarding the critiques of the United States? Everything we have told you guys have been correct. We was correct regarding the CIA. Before the right wing, who's now caught up late, who was telling you guys the truth about the CIA? Socialists. We're the first one on everything. You guys know that, right? I know you guys don't like to call yourself that. The first one on every single fucking thing calling this stuff out. You want to know who the first people standing with Palestine was? The Black Panthers, Black Socialists, Black Communists. Who's first on every single issue? But you guys hate communists, though. Ask yourself, ask yourself these questions, guys. And I just pose this. I'm not calling anyone out. I'm just saying this in general. I just want you people to think. You know what I mean? We are always out in front. Who's calling out the Ukraine war? We're the communists that is supporting Ukraine. No, every single communist around the world be calling that out. You know who's supporting the Ukraine war? Capitalists.
Well, that's how they make their money.
People think. I'm not asking people to support my ideology. I just understand. Reject anti-communism. Stop thinking communists and these people are your enemies. These are the people fighting the establishment that you hate. You understand? And you see the hatred of these swamp monsters? Ask the Ukrainian regime how they feel about us. The first thing that the Nazis did, the same thing that Zelensky did, was ban collecting organizing rights for workers. The first thing fascists do is ban socialist and communist activities. Do you guys understand? Because we are a general threat to their power. But because of social pressure in the West, people are afraid to admit this because they don't want to be ostracized socially. They don't want to be villainized by their community. But you guys say, I don't care about that. And also, I have the benefit of having apolitical family members. So I do have that benefit too. But anyway, I'll move on because I don't want to get too rainy on this point. But I love the victory dance this guy is doing regarding tankies. There's a lot of people that digging up these old tweets like, oh, was this you, bro? This is one of the receipts. I'll read it because my friend Monica posted it. U.S. could remove Houthis from terror lists in exchange for Red Sea quiet report. Do you guys understand that's complete and utter defeat? Because the Ansar Allah is absolutely not taking that deal. They have no reason to. The reason why Biden put them back on the terrorist list was because of the resistance. So why would Ansar Allah accept this deal when they was 100% okay with being put on the terrorist list? That was not a concern with them. This is pure desperation. Another headline I read, and I'll get your thoughts on this, Misty. Look at this. Complete and utter concessions, complete and embarrassment from the Biden administration. You want to know who predicted this? Months ago, the college dropout. I did a hotspot video telling you guys exactly how this was going to end. And I remember the neocon people like, oh my God, Nick is just an anti-American piece of shit. You guys are going to be eating your words. Now you guys know why I'm doing a 25-minute victory dance right now? This segment is hilarious to me. The United States dangles Yemen bait, but Ansar Allah doesn't bite. What does the bait you mean? The United States has secretly offered a stunning array of concessions. They was getting their ass beat so bad. The Biden administration realized that they have no chance to accomplish their political goal, so they was willing to offer them concessions, like recognizing Ansar Allah officially as a state and establishing friendly relationships with them. Do you guys understand how much Yemen checkmated the United States for something like this to happen? Miss, I'll give you any thoughts before we move on. There's a lot to cover here.
Well, I mean, the idea that here's the thing. Why would anybody make a deal with the United States on anything? Ever, for any reason. Like right now in the Assange case, the whole thing is they want U.S. assurances that they promise they're going to be super nice to Julian Assange. Like that's not even worth the paper it's written on. The United States doesn't keep its end of any bargain ever. So the idea that, let's make a deal, we're going to get taken off the terrorist list. What the fuck does that even matter? Who cares?
It doesn't matter. That's literally a panic move. When I first read that, I was like, I literally started laughing. It's literally
it highlights what you were talking about earlier, how weak the US actually is. We are a paper tiger. Like it is becoming abundantly clear, right? People are figuring it out. I think you're absolutely right.
I wish I had my fucking outline, guys. You understand how much I'm in shambles. I can't believe I'm barely holding it together. but remember the story. Remember Russia sent, I'm trying to find the story. I'm scrambling. Russia sent their warships to the Red Sea. Here it is. Damn, barely got in time. I have another receipt I'm desperately trying to find as well. Let me check my email. where you have
If you need me to ramble for some time, just say.
You good. You have Russia who sent warships there. I'm looking for this other article that I have saved because I'm trying to remember. You have the United Arab Emirates. You have a few other countries that are threatening. I'll be vague until I find the receipt. I'll be vague. You had a few countries that was telling the United States essentially, if you guys continue to act against Hezbollah, if you guys act against Iran, we might intervene. It's like you have the Middle East that is emboldened because of Yemen's action.
Yeah,
I can't find it, but I'll move on. The point being, Yemen is already being legitimized because of their action. China and Yemen and Russia made a deal.
Yemen blows my mind.
Go ahead, Missy. I'll pass to you. Go ahead. Feel free.
No, Yemen blows my mind. Like you were talking about earlier. Like the idea that it's Yemen that is standing up in the way that they are. I gotta admit, I didn't see that coming. I really didn't see that. I didn't see it being Yemen, and there they are. And that's, I mean, you're right. It is quite a story.
It surprised me too.
Yeah,
because you guys don't understand how much damage they took during the Saudi Arabia siege.
They're still in a bad way.
These are the warriors of our time. Like, you know what I mean? I talk about people with mad want to say the United States military not warriors. They're not. They're there for college. They're not warriors. Like, I see these people that average veterans I see in my gym, right? Like, you're not a warrior. You're just an athletic American. You know what I mean? But in Yemen, these people are forced to be warriors, forced to be extremely mentally tough, extremely narrow-eyed on their goal. And many military generals. I need to stop ranting. But there's a rant I did before where I explained how when you look at the great generals in history, war criminals, including Napoleon, Hannibal, a lot of the great generals, they understand what it means to actually have a warrior, what it means to have soldiers that have something to fight for, even if it means they had to trick them with propaganda. Yeah. United States military in the West, they don't even pretend to have that. Hey, come on, man, go to the United States military so you can graduate college. What does that mean? That means they are in the military just so they graduate college. That means they're not about to put their life on the line for a cause. Remember, because they're only there to go to college.
I think there are some who are like totally brainwashed into the mission and but you're right. It is because we have essentially a poverty draft in this country. People go, if you ask anybody in the military, there will be two answers that you will get: either healthcare or college.
Found it.
That's why people. Yeah, you found it.
You guys see, I had to go on that rant I did before because I was stalling for time a little bit, but I was explaining before. That's another reason why Yemen is so strong. Like, their will to fight, the fact that they forced Saudi Arabia to force peace. They couldn't defeat them. They couldn't get rid of the government coalition because they also had the support of the people. This is despite Saudi Arabia starving tens of thousands of children. Their mass famine that they produce. Despite that, the people of Yemen still supported them because they understood that their government was standing against the imperialist colonialists that led to their situation in the first place. It leads to ironclad support for leaders. This is what the West don't understand. When they say, "Oh, why does Putin has 80% approval rate? It must be rigged. Xi Jinping got 8%." No, when there's a unifying force, and there's a few things that people don't understand. When you have, for one, government that provide healthcare for people like Russia and China, there's that. Also, the unifying force. When you have a crazy Western empire that's trying to destroy your government, that's going to make you more supportive of a government you see resisting that. That would lead to Putin being popular. That would lead to Nicolas Maduro being popular. Because despite the sanctions, people see him resisting empire. These are things that Western institutions don't even think about when they develop their geopolitical strategies. When you read theory and study history, you understand and see these losses coming. When people say, "What, Nick? How can you see this coming?" Because our system is set up to fail, and people still think this is the 1950s. People think it's the 1950s where the United States is a dominant military force with intellectual thinkers. You can concede, like when you look at General Lee, the Confederate, like people will say he's one of the greatest military generals of all time. When you look at the war criminals and the evil villains that the United States had in the past, you can make the legitimate argument they was competent oligarchs, competent rulers, like in accomplishing their goal. That is not what we have, and people need to understand that empires die. Why do empires die? Because the dumb kids take the reins. The smart, evil motherfuckers climb the ladder. They get the empire where it needs to be. Then the dumb kids take over. Then the nepo babies come in. Then the people who sell out their community, the worst among the black community come in. The worst among the Latinos, the sellouts come in. And then you weaken your government over time. You see, and when you break out of Western chauvinistic thinking, you look at every one of these engagement individuals like, all right, how is the United States going to patrol the Red Sea, which is the size of California? Doesn't make sense on face value. The only reason why people believe that is because they watch too many Hollywood movies. They watch the Marine, and they think the United States military is something that they're absolutely not.
Yeah.
You guys see why this thought process of educating people on the weakness of the United States military, which the United States left refused to do, has been a failure of the anti-war movement. The reason why they're able to sell these wars is because people think we're going to win. The reason why people send their child out to war because they think they're going to be safe. One of the mothers that had the black kids who died in Syria, she didn't even know why they was there. The fuck? Once again, God, I will never say anything mean to these people's face, but we have to have these conversations about how fucking absurd these people are. You send your child to a country, you don't even know why they're there?
That's amazing. That's amazing. That just makes me really depressed that people, I mean,
it's so crazy.
I can't even.
You're a mother, so you know.
I can't even. So you know. There's no way. There's absolutely no way. There's absolutely no way.
Misty, you wouldn't send your child out into a random country nowhere to buy time, to stall and provoke Iran to attack, and you wouldn't do that.
No. Absolutely not. And it is astonishing to me. I get that the propaganda game is incredibly strong. I get that they're very good. Like this is decades and decades and decades of brainwashing. I understand that. From the moment we exit the womb in this country, we are bombarded with America's number one propaganda constantly from every angle. It is in everything that we do. I mean, it is fireworks and eagles and all that shit, right? And all of that shit. So I mean, I get that that's very pervasive and it's incredibly effective. However, I don't know how, after watching, I mean, the past several decades, how anybody could still be buying into that. So many things have been exposed. So many, I mean, weapons of mass destruction, the Gulf of Tonkin, the Syrian gas attacks, time after, and now with Israel Palestine, you've got Israel literally lying like I don't know, daily, really. But then because we have social media now, people are able to call that out in real time, and I think people are being exposed. So if you still buy into that, well, I don't understand that. And also, you mentioned about like this creating Putin being popular and G being popular, all these people. And not only is it creating that environment, but it's also bringing those people together. They now have a common enemy, and that's us. And we've done that to ourselves, and we need to just reckon with that, because I feel like a lot of people are not willing to take ownership. You know what I'm saying? Like they want to blame Putin and Maduro and all of these people for coming together against the United States, when what else were they supposed to do? I mean, it's just, you're right. It's honestly astonishing to me that the United States is still standing. Like, not like I think it's going to crumble entirely, but
if you allow, especially now they're talking about going to war with Iran and war with China. Yeah. If you allow your and guys, I've seen people leave comments. The obvious caveat to this is if you're a parent who tried and your child can't listen, there's nothing you can do at that point.
Yeah.
That's the obvious caveat. The point being, if you're a parent and you don't try everything you can to stop your child from enlisting, because obviously that's the caveat, right? So if you don't stop your child from enlisting after they are literally head faking a war with China, a war with Afghanistan, well, not Afghanistan, a war with Iran, a war with, they continue all these wars, and you're going to let your child enlist? At this point, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear your fucking complaints.
No.
At this point, you're complicit. And your child's, I know I'm an asshole, guys, but I'm not a liberal. I've explained this many times before. I reject liberalism. I reject victimhood shit. Oh, Mom, they don't know any better. No, I am a Marxist. I demand people be better. We demand people to learn. That's what we believe.
Why would you?
I am not a liberal. I demand accountability. And then right now, it's game time. Civility, like it's game time at this point. We need to demand better. And if you're out here sending your child die to war, I think that's a red line. That's just me. But Misty, I know you want to chime in, and then we can get back on topic, because I know I went way longer in the segment I planned, but I threw my notebook away. So It is what it is. We do Pfizer next. We cover that next, but go ahead, Misty.
I just don't know how anybody could enter into that decision, literally selling yourself to the United States government to be used essentially as a weapon of war. How are people not educating? Like, I can't imagine as a mother, if let's say my kid, as you mentioned, you can't control your kids once they reach a certain age, you kind of just have to throw up your hands and be like, all right, I can't, not much I can do about that. You can do your best to discourage them, but ultimately it becomes their decision. So maybe there's that situation, but I mean, I just can't imagine then not knowing. Like, if my kid's headed off to Syria, I want to know why. I want to know all the things. I want to know literally all of the things about why we are in Syria. So the idea that there are people out there who, my kid's headed off to Syria and they're just like, oh, okay, no questions asked. I'm sure they're fine in the hands of the government. Like, that's a mind-blowing mentality to me. Mind-blowing.
Another reason why I'm not easy on them at all is because my mom is aggressively apolitical. I mean, there's nothing that turned my mom off faster than politics.
Yeah, my mom's
there's nothing. Like my mom watched my hotspot video just because they're catchy, but she's like, there's no fucking way I will ever. And I'm glad she don't, because I curse like a sailor. She's like, there's no way I will ever watch. She hates politics. She couldn't stand it. She's a single mother with 3 kids. Last thing she could ever consider. Yeah. Her apolitical ass, who don't know anything about no goddamn Syria, her reaction to me ever considering joining the military was hell no.
Yeah, my brother wanted to go into the Marines. I spent 6 months talking my brother out of the Marines.
You talked him out of it? Good for you, Misty. Base is always.
He's my brother, therefore stubborn. However, I did manage to talk him out after 6 months or so.
That's the only thing you can do. That's why I'm saying, I say if you got at least try. I'm not saying, I guess I wasn't like, I didn't explain it well. People are like, oh, you can't just blame me. What if they can't stop me? Yeah, I want you to try. Yeah. If they don't try, that's the point. The point being, my mom, who don't know anything about goddamn Syria, my mom she don't know goddamn Taliban. You had my mom any of these questions, I'm not making fun of her. That is not her thing. She don't know anything about it. But the idea of me ever joining the military, she was like, there is no fucking way. That was always clear to me from day one. So to me, that's why I have this reaction. It's crazy to me that in the year 2024, knowing what we do right now, that people still send their children out to die. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on. We can run on this all day. I have done it with multiple people at this point.
Today. You guys remember these notepads? Are you old enough? You might not be old enough to remember these. These growing up, we used to have like little, like for messages and things like that, where you like click off, like tick off, like so and so called, left a message. You know what I mean? It's so funny.
I wish I can. I think this came from, I'm assuming maybe at the bottom. I wish I knew. Someone sent me this. I was like, dude, this is the funniest shit I've ever seen in my life. I need every single one of these accounts that was fighting against me for the last few months of my Yemen coverage to fill this out. This is the official Yemen apology form. I'm gonna read it out for the people who can't see it. I mean, that's the leader of Yemen. I always butcher her name, Saeed Abdul. I don't want to butcher her name. That's why I always avoid saying her name out of respect, because I don't like to butcher it. But that's the leader of Yemen. So this is maybe some explanations if you want to check the box. Maybe this is the reason why you fell for Empire talking points. For all the people that thought that Ansar Allah couldn't win, maybe you let the media convince you they was weak. Because, that's the job of the media. The media try to convince people that Russia was weak. That's why people support war with Ukraine. You got to see why my objective is more than just me being inflammatory, I guess, for lack of a better term. People think I'm trolling neocons. No, I have an agenda. I'm very open about it. I have a peace agenda. One of the most important things that we can do, as I said, that the left has not done, is spread the idea that it's true that we are not as strong as they present us to be. They present us to be as strong so people will support war. If there's a chance we will lose, people won't support war. It is literally that simple. So it's crazy to me when you see left people talking about, Russia's fall into empire talking points. But anyway, let's move on. They overlooked the victories that the Ansar Allah had in Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates. So why do people use starvation as a tool of war? Why is Israel use starvation as a tool of war against Hamas? That's when you can't win. So you know why they starved tens of thousands of children in Yemen? Because they couldn't win. You guys realize that's the resort of the West and their allies whenever they can't win, is to starve them. So you know that.
I mean, is there worse? I'm sorry. Is there worse tiny dick energy? Seriously.
Greatest terrorists we ever seen in human history is the United States and Israel and their allies.
We can't
And
win, so
modern
we're gonna
Yemen-
starve babies. Like, that's okay.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So this is something people forget because people are like, oh, what about the Yemen genocide? No, that genocide happened and they targeted the population because they couldn't defeat Ansar Allah. These are things I'm learning a lot when I've been studying this recently as well. And I'm blessed to be around this community while talking to people who teach me about this stuff as well. They jealous of Saeed Abdul, who's gonna go down as a legend. Things can always twist. Revolutionary heroes can become tyrants. But this guy has been nothing but impressive. He has rejected bribes. The West has tried to buy Saeed out so many times. I heard nothing but good things about him. So it's promising right now, but we gotta understand the lyrics can always change, but he is killing the game. He is destroying them tactically. Like people, the racism of Europeans in the United States, they assume that they're Muslim enemies, they're African enemies, the others, the Chinese, the Russian, that they're barbarians. Guys, the Ansar Allah, when they released their press conference, if you guys ever get a chance, I don't have time to play them a lot. I see a lot of them on Twitter. They are very tactical in everything they do. They got a chessboard and they are moving the chess pieces. That's why they've been successful. When they announced their blockade of the Red Sea, you guys think they didn't consider the reaction of the West? They considered the logistics of the West being able to stop them, and they determined they can't. They realized that they would get diplomatic support. These are all calculations that they made, but honestly, white people in the West think these people are dumb monkeys who will never make these calculations. You guys see how the hubris of the West, just like every empire ever, if you study history, the hubris leads to their defeat because they literally start feeling like they're better than the other. But goddamn, I really do need to wrap this segment. I apologize. I'm 45 minutes. They also just simply, I'll quickly read it. They simply enjoy being wrong. They don't know about geopolitics. This is literally everyone except our community. Everyone you see on your show, that includes anyone you see, like Misty, anyone you see on the show, that doesn't include those people. But the people who are not covering this issue, how many people covering Yemen as extensively as I've done in the last few months? There's not many. Handful of people. Anyway, the rest of it is pure hilarious. I will hereby respect Ansar Allah, and I will not talk down to the brave Yemeni resistance. Your apology needs to be as loud as your disrespect was. Now, that's more than the humor. That's why I show this more than anything else. Because the absolute last point, I promise, is you guys know how many fucking social democrats, pacifist fucks, was waving their finger at Yemen. Go back in the timeline. Go back in the time machine. You know how many social democrats condemned what Yemen did? Who has been the most effective at opposing Israel's genocide thus far? Yemen literally created a coalition with Russia, China, and many Middle Eastern countries that support them in their action, that legitimize their action. Yemen have been way more effective than every single European and United States leftist combined. So I know we had a lot of fun in this segment, but that last part is exactly why I'm covering this story. And the reason why I continue to drive this fucking knife in their back and remind them that it was wrong and I was right, because your apology needed to be as loud as your disrespect was. You got the United States left in the West, they push pacifism, they push ineffective strategies, and then they are aggressively wrong. They never move on, they never admit they was wrong, and they continue to push ineffective strategies. We're moving on from that.